crazy.
Like you're like nuts.
It's like a little kid.
Oh
like
my God.
eclipse.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Okay.
Okay.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nikki LaRose, and if you are someone who's followed me on Instagram for a while now, you might recognize this girl. This is one of my besties of all time. This is Brittany. Brittany, say hi to everyone.
Hi guys.
So I begged Brittany to come on down to our really hot studio and film a video with us because I have been wanting to show you guys different techniques on my channel. And to be quite honest, there are certain techniques that I can't do the best job of showing them on myself. So I had to bring in some reinforcements. And, you know, we all have different skin types and textures and things that we like or that we don't like. And so I thought I'd bring in my beautiful model. And for a very specific reason, Brittany, for the last like decade that I've known her, what have you always said to me?
Yeah, my textured skin really bothers me.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't see it. Brittany's got gorgeous skin. She's obviously stunning, but she has complained for a long time to me about, oh no, Nikki, I can't wear this because of my texture, or I don't do this with makeup because I have texture. And I'm like, wear makeup, like live your life, like who cares?
Yeah, just different formulas and like they're too thin or glowy, you know, different techniques.
I broke you in with glowy stuff for sure. So
Yeah.
Brittany's always been a hardcore like matte foundation, like full coverage foundation type girl.
Yep.
And I remember I brought you on. Actually, if you guys have been following me or if you've been
Oh my gosh.
subscribed to my channel for
Yep.
the beginning, which I started my channel in like 2020 during the pandemic. I got bored because I wasn't working. I started a YouTube channel all on my own, filmed it on my camera, on my phone.
Yep, I remember that.
In my living room, and Brittany, I
Yep.
brought her on and she did with me a glowy makeup tutorial, and it was so fun because you never wear your makeup glowy.
No, and I loved it
Yeah.
at the end. Like it was so fresh and pretty, and yeah, it turned out really nice. It was different from what I usually do. So
Really different
Yeah.
from what you normally do.
Yeah.
And also, a little side note too, like I have so many stories to tell you guys because her and I go so way back, and I love her with all my heart. But Brittany and I were Mac girls, so
that's where we met.
we met at Mac. We were like fast friends,
Yeah.
hit it off right away, had like such a similar style in so many ways. And so it's just such a like pleasure to come around full circle and bring you on to my channel.
I'm so honored to be here. It's exciting.
Yeah, and you're actually like, I know you've been on technically before, but to me, you're like technically the first guest on my newly revamped YouTube channel.
Yes.
So everyone welcome Brittany. We're going to teach some really cool techniques or some of my
so
favorite
excited.
techniques on how to apply face makeup. Like I'm talking your foundation, your concealer, and your powders for more textured skin. To prep Brittany's skin, I'm using the BHA liquid exfoliator from Naturium. I love using a liquid exfoliator for anyone who has more congested skin, more textured skin, even more just combination skin. This is a great first step to get your skin nice and prepped and smooth for the rest of your makeup application. Now, starting with hydration, I'm using a hydrating serum from Chanel, and I'm giving Brittany a very generous amount. Now, I am gonna be skipping a thick moisturizer for Brittany, and instead I'm doubling up on her hydrating serum because I want her skin to be hydrated, but not have a very thick film of moisturizer before her makeup goes on top. I'm now going into a pore refining primer. This one's from Milk. It's the Pore Eclipse Primer. And I'm using my fingertips to really push this product into her T-zone, into her pores, and to smooth her skin. For foundation, I'll be using a combination of two different shades from the Dior Backstage Face and Body. I am choosing this foundation because this is more of a lightweight foundation and it gives more of a skin-like finish. And I'm bouncing one thin layer all over using a damp beauty sponge. Now, I don't want to have a heavy layer of foundation to start. Instead, I want to build upon a thin layer. You get the best results if you just start thin and you work in thin, more sheer layers, and you get the coverage where you need it instead. So we're applying this all over, getting her even all throughout. This might look a little fair initially going on because it's reducing any redness that you're seeing on her skin. And now we're moving on to concealer. This is gonna be the first concealer that we're using in a series of a couple. This is the NARS Radiant Concealer in Honey. Now I'm using Honey, which is a lot darker than Brittany's skin tone, because this has a pink undertone to it, which is gonna be perfect for canceling out any dark pigmentation that she has just slightly under her eye. Now to speed up the drying process so I can move on to my next layer of concealer, I'm using a fan. And now moving on to the JOUER Essential High Coverage Concealer in the shade Wheat. I'll be applying this using a Fenty Beauty brush. Now I'm patting this in and then swiping across her under eye. This is going to help to, of course, brighten her under eye, as you can see. And then I'm using whatever's left over and I'm gently just blending it down onto her cheek where she's got a little more excess redness that I want to help cover up. Taking more of that concealer, I'm buffing this up towards her temple for a brightened and highlighted effect. She does have a little more redness around her temple as well, so this is going to help to just give me a little more coverage and a little more color correction. And you can see that I'm using different techniques with blending. I'm patting it, I'm blending it back and forth, and I'm really pushing it into her skin. Now with whatever's left over, I'm just going to cut down on some redness that's around her nose area, blending back and forth, making sure that that concealer is not just sitting on top of her skin. That's one of the biggest takeaways for this entire video is every product that you apply onto your skin, if you have more textured skin, you want to make sure that you're not just placing it on top, and rather you're buffing and you're blending all those products into the skin. Moving on to the other eye, repeating the same steps. I'm patting the product where I need the most coverage, and then where I don't need as much coverage, I'm just lightly blending it out. Now this does take a little more time, so you have to be patient. If you want a good, flawless application, if you have more textured skin, you really want to make sure you're taking the time to work and buff those products into your skin so they're not just sitting on top. With whatever's left over on that concealer brush, I'm just blending it onto the inner part of her forehead just for a little more coverage. Making sure that everything is blended and flawless. And now blending it down her cheek just a touch. Brittany has beautiful skin. I don't want to cover it completely with a full coverage foundation, which is why I chose that Dior. And then instead of just packing on a full coverage foundation, I'm just choosing to spot conceal where I need it the most. And so moving on to our last concealer, this one's more of a full coverage. It's the NARS Soft Matte Concealer in the shade Crème Brûlée. I'm taking a small detailer brush. This is an eyeshadow brush, and I'm just pressing that matte concealer onto any blemishes that she has above her lip. This will give me the maximum amount of coverage. You don't want to swipe it, you want to press it onto those areas that you want the maximum amount of coverage. When you're covering any blemishes, you want to make sure that you're doing so as the very last step before you powder. Moving on to powder, I'll be pressing into her skin the Givenchy Prisme Libre powder in number 3. And before I do so, I'm taking that same Fenty brush and I'm blending out any creasing that might have happened in between the application. This is a very important step. I do not suggest you skip this. And now working a thin amount of powder into the palm of my hand, into my powder puff, I'm now going to just press that under her eye, which is going to lock into place her under eye concealer, and then taking that down to the side of her nose. This will help so much with oil control. I love this formula powder for anyone who has combination oily skin or just really oily skin in general. But this powder is also great for my dry skin clients out there and also for textured skin. This does have a great blurring effect, so if you do have more textured, this is an amazing powder for giving you more of an airbrush finish to your skin. Now I am working on a thin sheer layer and I'm building those layers up. Again, you don't want to just pack on a loose powder using a fluffy brush because it will actually leave streaks on top of your skin. So instead, if you have more textured skin, take the time to thoroughly press a thin layer into your skin to set your makeup using a powder puff. Now you want to make sure you're using a powder puff that's more soft and it's not going to leave any scratches or smudges on the skin. This one is from Amazon. I buy these in bulk. I'll make sure that I link them in the description. Repeating the same steps on the other side, buffing out her concealer so I don't lock in any creases. and then taking that Givenchy powder, pressing it under her eye. And you can see that I am using a good amount of pressure because once again, you wanna make sure that any products you're applying onto your skin, if you have more textured skin, you wanna make sure that they are pressed into the skin and not just sitting on top. That's the biggest takeaway for applying makeup on textured skin. So take your time, work it, press it. And you can see that I did focus most of the powder on the center of her face and the T-zone. And now I'm taking an extra amount of that powder and I'm going to do a very light natural bake on the side of her nose. Now this is not going to be necessary for everyone, but for Brittany, she does get oily in her T-zone and I want to make sure that her nose stays nice and matte throughout the day. So we're just going to lock it in with a little mini bake. And now moving on to a second powder. Now I love this powder if you have more textured skin. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Powder, and I'm mixing shades fair and medium to get the perfect tone for Brittany's skin. Now the reason why I'm switching to a powder brush for this application is because since her makeup is already set using that powder puff and Givenchy powder, I'm now able to go over it with a powder brush without the fear of that powder brush disrupting or streaking her makeup underneath. I'll also be using this powder to dust off her baking that's on the side of her nose. And this powder really is so amazing if you have textured skin. This will give you such a beautiful, flawless effect to your skin, and it photographs beautifully. I'm also making sure that I'm taking the time to press a light layer of this powder in any of the areas that I didn't overly powder with the powder puff the first time around. Finally, to lock in Brittany's makeup, I'm using a very generous amount of the Veil Soft Focus Setting Spray from Hourglass Cosmetics. This is a must if you have more textured skin. You want to choose something that's got more of a fine mister to it so it doesn't disrupt your makeup application. Now, once that has dried down, I'm taking whatever's left over of my Givenchy powder in my powder puff, and I'm just pressing it onto her T-zone one last time. This is not necessary for everyone, but if you have really oily skin, I highly suggest you lock it in one last time. Finishing with one final mist of that Veil Setting Spray, and texture, who? We don't know her. So here's the finished look done on one of my besties / model, Brittany. And I just want to point out one more time to you guys that, the whole purpose of this video is not to say that if you have texture in your skin that you need to do this kind of makeup or that you need to do these steps. All skin is beautiful. That's just the bottom line. This is just meant to be helpful because I do get quite a bit of requests to do a video like this, and I get requests all the time on Instagram also specifically to do more tutorials and give more tips on how to apply makeup for more textured skin. So this is a whole reason why I'm doing this video. It's not to say that having texture shouldn't be there. We're human. We have pores, we have wrinkles, we have texture, we have pimples, we have all those things, and let's not walk around thinking that, we need to erase all those things. This is just to be a helpful video in case those things do make you insecure and you want more tips on how to apply makeup if you have some skin texture that you want to cover. So all that to say, let's just be real. Makeup is not magic. Nobody needs to look like an Instagram filter. We're not about that, but I hope this video helps you out. I know I had a blast finally bringing Brittany to my studio to shoot with me. Brittany, you're on Instagram. By the way, in case you don't know, I meant to say this in the intro, Brittany has assisted me for years. We've traveled together. She has impeccable style. She does makeup just like me, and she's on Instagram as well, right? Your Brit Does Makeup?
At Brit Does Makeup, yeah.
Yep, and now she's a guest star on my YouTube. So if you guys like this video, show it some love. Give Brittany a big thumbs up in this video. Let us know if you liked this format, if you want her to come back and we can teach different techniques that maybe are not the best on me. Like for example, she's got these big gorgeous eyes. My eyes are like half the size. So if you have any specific makeup looks that I just can't pull off, let me know in the comments. I'll bring Brittany back up. I'll bribe her to come back.
I would love to.
Yeah, we'll shoot her the video. There's definitely bribing needed. But this was so much fun. Follow Brittany, she's a fellow makeup artist and she's fantastic. I'll make sure I link her Instagram in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss another video. And we will see you guys soon.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.